What's up, dude? How are you?
What's up, man? Doing awesome.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it.
So tell everybody who you are, and let's just jump right into all this stuff.
Sure, man. I'm Stephen Kennedy. I own a business called Steve's Snaketuary. What we do is we rescue snakes at homes and businesses. We take in pet reptiles that people can't take care of anymore, and we do educational presentations with them.
Okay, how did you get into this?
Always been into snakes, man, since I was real little. Of course, my parents hated it. They hated me catching little snakes in the little lot.
So it's been like, how young were you?
Yeah, I don't know, man. 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but once I got married, man, my wife was real supportive. She let me buy a little corn snake. 1 turned to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8. Just kind of kept continuing on. Somewhere down the lines, I hooked up with animal control. Also a firefighter and advanced EMT, so I hooked up with 911 dispatch. So if animal control or 911 gets a call about a snake, they'll call me. And one thing led to another, man. It just kind of turned into a business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what, like, lay that out for me. Like, what all do you do? Like, what does it look like? And, like, first off, turn it to a business model is cool anyways.
Yeah,
it's something you like. That's rare a lot of times, but like, how does it work? So
how does my life work?
Yeah. Like, how does that work? Like, as far as like, hey, someone's got a snake, like what are the precautions? Like, what type of snakes you deal with? What do you not want to deal with?
Yeah.
Like, what's that look like?
As long as it's alive, I'll deal with it. Man, that's a loaded question though. So I'll just kind of lay out a little bit, man. So a lot of people don't know that I'm a firefighter and advanced EMT. So with that schedule, it's really weird. I work half days and half nights. And I like to make, as far as my snake business, as far as Steve Snaketuary is concerned, I'm here to educate other people. I'm here for other people. I understand that people freak out. They think having a snake in their house is an emergency. And I also understand, big groups of people want to see snakes. They're fascinated. So a lot of times if I'm working nights at my firefighter job, I'm setting up presentations during the day. Or if I'm supposed to be sleeping, I may end up getting a snake call. Got to get up, got to go, because they think it's an emergency. So I deal with any kind of snakes. I do want to say this, that I've got my permits through Wildlife and Fisheries and Animal Control to deal with every kind of snake.
Gotcha.
The large constrictors and the venomous. So I deal with everything. So somebody sees a snake in their house, whatever time it is, they call me, I go. And then my wife's gone on a lot of calls for me. If I'm stuck in my firefighter job and can't break away, then she'll go on the call.
Oh, so you roped her into this too.
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah. So a lot of people want to know if I'm the one that got her into it. I'd like to take credit for that.
Dude.
Oh, yeah, you got out. Cool.
God, dude, I almost just shit my pants, man. Oh, God.
Yeah.
So I don't like snakes,
He's
man.
cool, though. We'll watch it. We'll keep an eye on him. He's cool. So I'd like to take credit for getting my wife into it, but I did find a picture after we got married. Her grandmother had taken her to some fair or circus or whatever she took her to, and she's got a picture of her holding a big albino, probably a Burmese or something like that. So
I'm freaking out right now.
So we'll go ahead and talk about this.
Yeah, you're good.
Man.
Yeah.
So
He or she just introduced themselves.
Yeah. He's like, hey, I want to get on a podcast.
Look, he just grabs this thing like it's nothing, bro.
So this is an albino boa is what this is. So this one's name is Sunny. Let me scoot closer to the mic. Let me scoot over here.
I can move it back to you. I can move it out to you some.
All right, so this one's name is Sunny. We actually rescued this one out of a house fire.
Okay.
So my brother-in-law was working a house fire. The captain had gone in to check the rooms and everything, and the captain hollered at him and said, hey, we got a snake in here. So my brother-in-law immediately called me. So I'm on my way. That video of them pulling the snake out of the house went viral. It went everywhere. And millions of views on TikTok. And so
what was that?
This was out in when?
Yeah, like recently?
December of last year, I believe.
Okay.
I think it was last year. And so come to find out, I mentioned that I've got all my permits and everything. Come to find out the person that had the snake did not have their permits.
Okay.
And I mean, look, the person's already devastated because their house caught on fire, right? So I wanted to take everything very smoothly, be very careful with everything. I called animal control, made sure they didn't have their permits. I called the sheriff over. I had the sheriff and the fire chief go talk to the lady and told her, hey, I'm taking the snake because she didn't have her permits.
Right.
She couldn't keep it legally.
Right.
And of course, I don't want to get too personal about the lady. I don't know that much about the lady, but she lost a lot of animals. Dogs, cats, birds, everything.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, she lost a lot of stuff. So But come to find out, she was actually babysitting it for a friend of mine. So when the friend found out that I got it, he was super happy. He had, I don't want to again don't want to get too personal, but he's had some medical issues. That's why he let the other lady babysit it. So
okay,
yeah, but yeah, real cool, man. Real laid back, not too bad.
So what is their temperament like? I know these are really popular for pets.
Yeah,
like how do you domesticate it, or they just naturally become that way? I mean, how's that work?
So, well, all snakes have personalities just like people. So I know which ones I could take to presentations. A lot of times for my presentations, I'll take a lot of local snakes too. So the wild caught snakes, not used to people, they could be a little bit more defensive. I never say a snake is aggressive. So snakes aren't out to get you. They're not going to come after you or anything like that, but they will defend themselves.
Right.
So if they feel cornered or threatened or anything like that, then they're going to defend themselves. But they're just like dogs and cats. The more you get them out, the more you play with them, handle them, stuff like that, the more used to people they get. So but like I said, we have a lot of people turn in their pets. I've had people say, "Oh, the snake's so aggressive, it bites me all the time," and I get it, and it's chill as could be. Really? So I don't know, but like I said, they do all have personalities. So some of them are a little bit more feisty than other ones. Some are more laid back.
And what's the age of this one?
I'm not really sure. I didn't ask my friend. Okay. After he was just, like I said, he was having some medical issues. Right. He was just happy that I got the snake. So. And
how long is it? Like,
I don't know, 6.5 feet.
Can you tell an age by the length, or is that really?
Yeah. Okay. So it's going to depend on how much you feed it. Okay. So that's kind of I don't know how to say that. It's not an ethical issue, but there are some breeders who have snakes that overfeed them to get them real big real fast so they can breed them. Okay. And I don't do that. So most of my snakes I feed once a week. The larger ones, I've got some at home that are about 15, 20, 22 feet. I've got two of them that are about 22 feet. And if I give them a big chicken or rabbit, they eat once a month. And that's going to be another boa? What are those? Those would be reticulated pythons. Python. So that's something I talk about too in my presentations. I always ask, especially for the kids, if I ask you what the biggest snake in the world is, what would you say? Anaconda. Right. Yeah. So that's what most people say. Right. And so that's actually a trick question. So biggest can either mean longest or heaviest. Yeah. So the longest snakes in the world are reticulated pythons. They can get up to 30 feet. So the green anacondas don't get that long, but they weigh more. Gotcha. So green anacondas are the heaviest, but not the longest. Have you come in contact with anaconda? I've got a couple of them. You do? Yeah. Really? Yeah. That's crazy, man. Yeah. That's crazy. Do you have all that right? How many do you have? Yeah, a couple hundred of them. I don't know. Really? Yeah. It's like on your facilities or whatever you have. Yeah. So we enclosed our carport starting off. We actually added on to our house twice. And we've got cages outside. We've got tortoises and lizards and stuff too, man. Okay. So we've got a bunch of cages outside for all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're rapidly expanding. So not only snakes, you get into reptiles too. You didn't mention that. So like, what does that look like? And like, I mean, are you rescuing like when people can't take care of them anymore too? Is that something like they call you? Yeah, exactly. Like, okay. So if they move, sometimes they move out of state. They can't take it with them, or they move into legality wise, like either that, or maybe they move to an apartment or a house and the landlord doesn't want them, and so they'll call us and say, hey, can you take my snake in? I'm like, yeah, sure. Lizard, tortoise, whatever it is. Okay. So and do you what does that look like, man? I mean, you have like all types of like what type of lizards do you have? Iguanas, geckos. We've got a bunch of bearded dragons. We have a lot of people. Sometimes they'll get a bearded dragon for their kid, and then their kid gets bored of it. Yeah. And then so they'll call us and say, "Hey, can you take it in?" We've got a bunch of bearded dragons. And what's the goal? Because I mean, you can only do so much having these. Like, are you rehoming them, or like what does that look like? Yeah, we don't rehome for several reasons. Okay. Well, for one, when somebody turns in their pet, they're not expecting us. They're expecting us to take care of it. Gotcha. They're not expecting me to just turn around and give it to somebody else. Plus, I don't know how well somebody took care of their animals. So I don't want to take in an animal that's not healthy and then turn around and give it to somebody else. Is he getting behind the chair? Yeah, he's right. You can do whatever you got. Yeah, that's right. We just let him go. Yeah. So I don't want a snake to be sick or unhealthy and turn around and give it to somebody else. Gotcha. Because I don't know how well these other people took care of it. So there's a couple of reasons why we don't rehome them. And I understand, we've got a lot. We've got a whole lot, you know what I mean? But we use them for educational presentations too. And having more than one type of snake is good because I like to rotate my animals whenever I do presentations. if I use the same one over and over and over, it'll just stress that animal out. So I like to kind of rotate them.
Right.
And that's good too. Like if I take a different tortoise every time, I can talk about that specific tortoise.
We're talking about like really large ones.
Yeah, we got all kinds.
Okay, so yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Like the real big slow ones and all
yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got all kinds, man.
You have snapping turtle?
I have had snapping turtles. A lot of they're semi-aquatic though. That's the problem with those, and they get really huge, and they have to have a lot of water. And I don't have a pond on my property.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'll keep them for a little while, maybe do some presentations with them, and then go let those go. So a lot of everybody asks me, like as far as the local snakes, a lot of people want to know if I keep all of those, and I don't keep all the local ones, but I do hold a lot back, not just for the presentations, but we also work on movie sets.
Okay.
And so a lot of times they're calling me for snakes for movies.
So like you say you don't keep them, you just release them back in the wild, some kind of relocation program?
Just the native stuff though.
Right.
Yeah,
so
I'll take them out to like an unpopulated area where they're not going to get hurt or anything.
So like
that.
copperheads, water moccasins.
Yeah, most of the venomous though, I usually hold a lot of the venomous back just because people they freak out about snakes. He's cool in the chair. He'll sit right there. People freak out about snakes as it is. You know what I mean? So you go release a venomous snake and somebody comes across it. I hate seeing snakes die. You know what I mean?
Got you. Yeah.
So a lot of the venomous I'll hold back, but like the non-venomous, like the rat snakes or king snakes or something like that, I'll go let go.
Well, I always think it's funny when you're on social media and someone posts something and they get to arguing about what kind of snake it is, and none of them have no idea what they're talking about. And honestly, I have no idea either. And I still told you that before we started, but like we used to be like any snake I see, I don't want to deal with a snake, and we would kill like rattlesnakes and water moccasins and cottonmouths. I mean, and copperheads, but like. I haven't killed a snake or even messed with them. I try to just go my other way. Yeah. Because I definitely don't want to touch them or be around them. Right. Whether it's a grass snake or I've moved a grass snake out of the flower bed or whatever. But other than that, man, I'm not that person, dude. But I will say that I know they have their place, and I know they're important. And, but it is funny to me that it's something that I feel like, I don't know if it's just our country's culture, but like, I feel like, globally that's something people are afraid of.
And that's part of our mission statement at Steve Snaketuary is to eliminate fear through education and bring peace through rescue. And so that's really, education is a huge thing. There's so many misconceptions and so many myths about snakes, and that's why we love doing our presentations. And
what's some common misconceptions that you hear that you can elaborate on?
That snakes are evil.
Oh yeah.
That snakes are out to get you. Snakes don't chase you. People say they chase you all the time. They don't chase you.
He's chilling. I'm watching.
Yeah, he's cool. Okay, and then, but there's a lot of stuff like the venomous. A lot of people like the diamond or triangle shaped head.
Yeah.
Rat snakes and some of the non-venomous water snakes will flatten their heads out to a diamond or triangle shape to mimic venomous snakes. So is
that to protect themselves from prey?
Yep.
Got you.
And then. If we talk about the eyes, a lot of people think, well, if it's got a cat slit pupil, then it's venomous. Well, the pit vipers have the cat slit pupils, the water moccasins, copperheads, and rattlesnakes, but their pupils dilate in a low light situation, so they can look round.
Got you.
And then also we have coral snakes. Coral snakes are highly venomous. They have a neurotoxic venom. But
are they even here?
People.
Do we have those here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got pictures of some of my copperheads. It looks like they have a round pupil. And then plus, I always tell it, usually when I say this in my presentations, I'm holding up a rat snake, and I tell them, hey, you don't want to get this close to look at it either. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not getting close enough to figure out what people are doing.
But we've only got 5 venomous snakes here in Louisiana.
What are those?
We've got the pygmy rattlesnake, the canebrake rattlesnake, the water moccasin, copperhead, and coral snake.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
And I mean, I've come in encounters of everything but a coral snake. I feel like I may have seen one, but I definitely have come in encounters with all the other ones.
Yeah.
A lot growing up near the lake. My grandparents and abyss snow are everywhere, and then water moccasins are everywhere. Being on the river all the time, fishing, they're everywhere. And then copperheads, I've seen millions of them. I say that a lot, a lot of them. Just like I said 100 times at least, I've seen them. In the woods and whatever. Yep. But yeah, man, those are they're nothing to play with. I mean, I guess, but like if that's one of the things like. I would say too, you hear that a lot of common misconception is people think that they're out to get you. That makes sense, but also at the same time, they're so camouflaged. It's easily. I can see where it's easy to, trigger them to try to defend themselves because you can't see them and you're walking right here, and their immediate reaction is, "Hey, get away from me!"
Right. And then, of course, I always try to educate people when I go out on the calls too. When I try to go get one out of a house or a business or something. A lot of people think, well, there's just because they see one, there's going to be a nest of them. But as soon as snakes are born, they're out on their own. They don't run in pairs or groups or anything like that.
But aren't there some? What one of those venomous snakes like? Do you see in a group? Because I feel like I've seen.
There are certain snakes that do like the mating balls.
Right.
So
okay.
But as far as like if you see one in your house, that doesn't mean like there's a nest of them on your house kind of thing. Yeah. So another big thing though is a lot of people always ask me, what can I put out to keep snakes away? There's actually nothing you can put out. The lime, sulfur, mothballs, even the snake away stuff doesn't do anything for snakes. And plus it's got a chemical in it called naphthalene, which is a carcinogen. It can actually make people real sick from breathing that stuff in. So I've been out to hundreds of houses. People put that snake away, mothballs everywhere, and they still have snake problems.
Right, I got you.
So, but yeah, so there's nothing you put out. The best thing
that's
is
just old wives' tale. I do. I don't know. Are you aware? Do you have a relationship with Chris Rapolo?
Yeah,
snake snares.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, yeah. But I bet he's about the only person I know that, other than you, that deals with snakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's. I hooked up when he first started his business.
Yeah,
I hooked up with him a little bit, and so he'll call me like if somebody's got one caught in his stuff, they'll call. He'll give them my number to come get the snake out of there.
Gotcha. Yeah. But yeah, dude, I don't know how you guys do it, but it is interesting to me too. Like that's something that is worldwide. Like people freak out. Like I don't know. It's it's got to be inherently in our DNA.
Yeah. It's like and it just that fear gets passed down from generation to generation too. When you have it's crazy how many times kids have got a fascination. Man, they're curious.
Really. And I wasn't when I was a kid.
And so it's crazy, man. I'll do presentations, or if we have a table set up somewhere. We're not doing a presentation, but we're set up somewhere in an event, like an all-day event. We'll have the kids wanting to run up to us because they want to see them. I've had, and it, I don't know how to say that. It bothers me bad when I see the parents literally grab the kid by the collar and jerk them out.
Right.
Just because the parents are scared.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, dude, kids, they're curious. They want to know stuff.
Well, and also I feel like my fear of them probably were that I was immediately around them at a young age that were venomous that we would see, and it was just stay away from them. Yeah. And I could see where inherently that was like, okay, well, I don't mess with, Right. But I could see if you have these suburb kids that have never been around anything, they see it and they're like, oh, that's cool. I mean, it makes sense. So yeah, we were talking about regulations and all that. So I had a little technical difficulty. We had to swap some stuff out. But
so Wildlife and Fisheries, it was trying to ban a lot of stuff. It would have basically, if everything had passed at the very beginning, I would have been shut down.
And so now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do.
They're trying to actually work with us. Yeah, so they're actually trying to work with us. They've had several meetings where they've accepted public comments. They've had some other people.
Once you got wind of this, you immediately reached out, and they were cooperative. You're not saying they were pushing back. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
So there was, it hasn't been. It hasn't been, I don't know the word I'm looking for. It hasn't been like button heads or anything like that.
Right,
they're trying to work with us, but they're still trying to make some of the changes I still don't agree with.
Gotcha.
But I don't think, I don't want to say anything yet. I don't want to jump ahead.
Yeah.
But I think everything's going to be okay, I think.
Right.
So we'll just have to see. So, but that's, like I said, the whole deal in Florida is affecting us now because now the Wildlife and Fisheries, we're talking to people in Florida kind of thing, getting those ideas. And then we were talking about the taipan earlier, and what I was going to mention was we've had several things in the herp community this year that have negatively affected everybody. So there was I never free handle my venomous snakes. But there are people that do. And so there was a guy that free handle. He put videos out all the time of him just getting his venomous snakes out, holding them. No gloves, no hooks, no tongs, nothing.
And right? so are they mild mannered, or is there a difference?
Yeah, no. So he was trying to prove that they were. But he ended up getting bit by a taipan.
Did he die?
No, he didn't die, but he was in the hospital. That's a whole messed up deal too, man. He was in the hospital begging for people to turn in their anti-venom supplies because the hospital he was at didn't have it. So I'm assuming he eventually got it. He's out of the hospital now. It's a messed up deal. I don't even know if I want to say his name. Right. I don't want to support the dude, but But that one, there was a deal. A lady, supposed herpetologist lady, completely misidentified a snake. Could have gotten somebody hurt with that. There were two other incidents. I can't remember the specifics of them, but there were 4 incidents that happened this year that really, and it's kind of stuff like that when you have irresponsible owners that do stupid stuff all the time, that makes all of us look bad. You know, I try to do things the right way. You know, I've got all my permits. Wildlife and Fisheries and Animal Control. Wildlife and Fisheries ask for pictures of my place every year. Animal Control comes over every year to inspect my place and everything like that. So I'm doing things the right way. You know what I mean? But you have people out there that don't. I understand the permitting aspect of it. I agree with people having to have permits to keep their stuff, because then that way it shows that, because you have to have a certain number of hours of training. You've got to be able to prove that, you know what I mean? So you're showing that you're a responsible owner with those permits.
Right.
You know what I mean? But there's so many people that don't do it. And then when something happens, it makes it look bad for everybody.
Even having one as a pit, you have to go through all that. You're supposed to go through all these things.
Yeah.
Well, what is your thought on, like, I know there's been this huge stink, like, of black market sales of these reptiles and stuff. Like, what have you ran into any issues, like, seen that to where you've acquired some stuff, or got your hands on some stuff that may have been acquired that way, or like?
I've seen some shady deals.
Yeah.
So there's reptile shows across the country all the time. Okay. Some reptile shows, and they'll sell venomous. Some don't. You know, it all depends on the show, the promoter, that kind of thing, whoever's doing the show. So you can get your hands on some stuff pretty easily. The people selling the venomous, though, I can't speak for them. I don't know if they ask to see your permits before they sell it to you, or if they're just in it for the money. There's some people just in it for the money. So one instance that I personally had to deal with was a lady called me a couple of years ago. She said she had wanted a ball python, and she went to a reptile show. The guy said, "Hey, this one's perfect for you, blah, blah, blah." She goes, "Well, I can't get it to eat. Can you come help me, give me some advice on feeding it?" I said, "Hey, fine, sure." She had it for like 2 months, didn't eat anything. Oh. So I get over there. It was not a ball python. It was a reticulated python.
What's the difference?
So reticulated pythons get up to 30 feet.
Right.
Ball pythons stay between 3 and 5 feet.
Right.
So this guy had sold her a juvenile reticulated python. It was about 3 feet. And told her it was a ball python. Well, he was just in it for the money. Just wanted to make the
Why
sale.
wasn't it eating, though?
She didn't have the temperature and humidity and all that stuff. Right?
Okay.
So, once I got it home, it was cool. So I ended up trading her. She wanted a ball python, so I traded her a ball python for that retic.
Got it.
So I gave her what she wanted in the, at the very beginning anyway. You know what I mean? But
are they? Is that a less expensive? Was it like a workup for him? Like he less expensive snake, and he passed off as that? Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, retics are more expensive than ball pythons, so he got money off of it that he shouldn't have gotten. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I'm not trying to dog her. She just didn't know. You know what I mean? She was ignorant. So she just didn't know. And so, but it worked out in the end. You know what I mean? So I got a retic and she got a ball python. So.
Yeah, that's got to be something that's probably common, I would think, too, like in certain scenarios.
Well, it probably wasn't. So you have different morphs. So you have like albino, like the boa we have is albino, right? So it's the yellows and the oranges and stuff. So you have piebalds, you've got, there's so many different morphs, man. There's hundreds of morphs of ball pythons, of corn snakes and all that stuff. So each morph is going to be you got to factor that into the cost, so there's rarer ones. There's ones that are like albinos are pretty normal now. You can get an albino pretty much anywhere. You know what I mean? So it's going to depend on the type of snake and the morph and stuff like that. So
yeah. Well, so what are you feeding? So you have all these, dude. What do you like? You have to feed them all different things. Like, how the hell do you keep up with all that?
So,
like, dude, you have to. do you have a whole other facility for your food?
Yeah, we've got freezers with just food. Yeah. So
you're not live. They're not live feeding.
I try not to feed live.
Why is that?
So
is it an aggression thing or like?
Mostly. And so now you can't really train a snake, but there's things you can do to kind of help calm it down.
Gotcha.
The more you handle it, of course, the calmer it gets. I always try to feed frozen thawed because the snake's not used to chasing something around. So that way, when I stick my hand in the cage, it's not thinking my hand is food, right? So they're just used to. There's a dead mouse right there. That's it. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that you could do to kind of help calm it down. sometimes people they get a snake because they want to impress their friends. They're like, oh, let's drop this mouse in there, and they want to see it for the show.
Yeah, I had a buddy that had one.
Yeah.
We watched that stuff, but I never touched it. But he'd bring it out and mess with it all the time. But we'd watch it eat, and it was cool, But
yeah, so sometimes I get snakes from people, and they won't eat frozen thawed, or it takes me a long time to get them switched over. So I try to feed frozen thawed, but sometimes I get some that.
What about your venomous stuff? Same thing?
Yeah. So I've gotten, like the local snakes, out of people's houses and stuff, the water moccasins, copperheads, and some of the rattlesnakes. But all the different vipers and stuff, I've got connections. So I've got people that breed that kind of stuff. And then the other guy that I work with on the movie sets, he's got connections too. And there's been times when he'll get snakes from somebody across the country for a movie, because the movie industry is so weird. You know what I mean? So I had one of the movies. Well, I did snake abatement on Caddo Lake. So Caddo Lake just came out.
Yeah, I hadn't watched it yet.
Yeah, so I'm not going to ruin it for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. But yeah,
but I did snake abatement. So I was actually out there catching snakes off on set, so nobody got bit.
Gotcha.
Man in the White Van is supposed to be coming out. So we actually had snakes in that movie. But the way the movie industry is, you never know what's going to make the final cut.
Gotcha.
So we took several snakes out there, and so a lot of times they're like, well, we need these colors or these sizes, but they don't know, the producers and the directors don't know how
the species or anything.
Yeah. So you may take several snakes out to a set, and they'll film several different ones.
Do you ever have arguments with them like, this is not indigenous to here, so we probably shouldn't use these?
Yeah. So we. Not really arguments, but we try to match
more like
up.
Educating.
Yeah. So we do try to match them up, but there's been times when the other guy that I work with has gotten snakes from somebody else across the country for a movie, and they're like, "Oh, hey, well, I don't want the snake back, so I'll take it in." I've gotten some cobras that way, so
that's cool.
How
do you pull those out in like an environment like this?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So so here's the deal. I'll tailor my I'm trying to remember everything I want to say. So I tailor my presentations to who I'm talking to.
Right.
So when I'm talking to kids, I'm not going to take the venomous.
Of course
right?
not.
So,
yeah.
But if I'm talking to first responders, doctors, nurses, I'm going to take the venomous. I'm going to talk more about snake bites, first aid treatment, that kind of thing.
Right. Not educating them on the fascination of this animal. Yeah. Gotcha.
So I'll take the venomous for that, and I usually take one of my cobras. I'll leave it in the cage, and I usually have it covered up till the end. But and everybody's like, why in the world do you have a cobra? Well, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm going to tell you, I do things legally, right? I do things the right way, but there's people that don't. There's people that keep these, and you don't know it. It could be your neighbor. And so especially for paramedics and stuff, you go out on a snake bite call. If I'm not available, you go out on a snake bite call. Here's what you need to be prepared for. And so I'm trying to teach you, you know what I mean, about these snakes and to be ready.
Yeah.
Same thing with doctors. Look, if somebody's got a cobra, and the wildlife and fisheries, whoever doesn't know about it, and you get a cobra bite, what are you going to do? So, but of course I like snakes too. That's why I have so many different ones.
Yeah.
But it's really for the educational part of it, honestly.
And is there like here in this, so you can have any type of snake here? Or is it like, I know, but as it sits currently, you just have to have a permit.
Yep.
But like there's certain areas where you can't have venomous. Mm-hmm. There's certain areas where you can't have anything. Yeah. Like you were saying, based on parish and all that. And then also like, are there any species that are like they're so exotic and unique, they're endangered, you're not supposed to have them? But
right. So there's that Snake Island that's got some, I can't even remember what kind of snake. It's like I don't think it's a golden lance head. It's something.
Can we look that up, Josh?
It's a Snake Island.
Snake Island. It's a would it be an endangered species there?
Yeah. So that island only has that kind of snakes. And you have to get special governmental approval to even go to that island, kind of thing. So I don't have those.
What the something grande?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know how to pronounce that, man.
What's the breed of? Is that the snake, or is that the name of the island?
The island.
Yeah. What's the name of the snake?
There it is. Yeah, golden lance head.
Golden lance head. Okay.
Golden lance head. Yeah. So
what does that look like? Let's pull that up.
Oh, they're beautiful, man. I'd love to have one. So they're very endangered.
So what would be something similar? They all look like snakes to me. What's something similar to that?
So that one kind of has markings like a copperhead. So,
okay, that's what I was thinking when I saw it.
So they have like that looks like Hershey Kisses on the side, right?
Yeah.
So And I always tell that you can use that as a general rule, but copperheads don't always have the Hershey kiss patterns. So, because I've had friends find some with stripes this year. So
what?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So
is that just a breeding thing? Like it just happens? Like
no, it's just like any kind of a mutant gene kind of thing. Kind of like albino. You know what I mean? You just have weird anomalies, that kind of thing. So, yeah. So I don't have one of those. I don't have a sea snake, right? Because they live in salt water.
Right.
I don't have one of those. But yeah, there's some rare stuff that I don't have. But pretty much have everything.
You got everything else?
Pretty much, yeah.
No, dude, I think it's cool, man. Before we wrap up, let's talk about these hot sauces, man, because you brought them. I was like, oh, hell yeah, because I was telling you before we started, I love hot sauce, but I have horrible acid reflux to the point to where I had like a issue with my throat to where they had to stretch it and all that.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's because just of years of not knowing how to treat that stuff. It's a lot better now, but if I'm going to eat something like this, I have to prepare like a few hours before. Like that's how you know you're getting old, I guess.
So we were talking about working out before, so these would be great for meal prep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Anybody does meal prep. So people don't understand this either. They don't understand why you're doing snakes and you have hot sauce. What's the deal? So in the herp community, venomous snakes are considered hot snakes.
Okay.
And I love hot sauce. So I figured hot snakes, hot sauce, right? So we tailored the heat levels and the flavors to the types of snakes. So I took all the local snakes that we have, the water moccasins, copperheads, rattlesnakes, the two rattlesnakes, the pygmies and the canebrakes, and then the coral snakes. So that's the first 5 flavors. The anti-venom is the hottest one we have, right? Anti-venom's got to be stronger than venom, right? So that's why we made the anti-venom the hottest one. It's polyvenom, anti-venom. So now we rated the heat levels for normal people. So like we rated the anti-venom 11 out of 10 on the heat level. But for me, it's like a 2, right? So depends on how you are with heat. But we didn't just go straight up heat with everything. We balanced the heat with the flavor. So it's got a lot of flavor to it. So
are you one of those guys that watches hot ones? And
oh, yeah. I love that show, man.
Funny,
yeah.
That show's funny.
So, yeah, all the sales of our hot sauce go back into our rescue. So they go, so it's not gimmicky. I worked with a professional chef on it. Some people think it's just that gimmick hot sauce stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not, man. I worked with a professional chef, man. We tailored everything, and it's honest, true hot sauce. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the gimmick stuff. It's not straight up vinegar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of guy that likes all the watery, vinegary type stuff.
No, I agree. I love, like, you have real ingredients in these things. Like, this is like, it looks like a verde salsa.
Yeah.
I mean, tomatillos, of course. Yeah. So apple cider vinegar, serrano. Yeah. You got real stuff in there. Lime, salt, sugar. Yeah. Cilantro. That's going to be one of my favorites. Because that's something I can eat all the time. And it's not probably not too spicy.
Right.
Well, before we wrap up, I'm gonna have to hold this dude, bro, because if I don't, I'm gonna hate myself.
Oh yeah, we got to.
Can you pass him over the table, or do I need to stand up?
No, we can do that.
I'm gonna do this just for my own. Oh man, I don't want to do this, but I'm doing it. I feel like you're here, and if I don't do it, everyone's gonna give me hell about it. So I just grab him. He's not gonna like.
Yeah. Now you gotta support his body a little bit, so that's why I kind of. You got it?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, hold on, man, you're my dad.
Yeah, this dude's like, who's holding me right now? Yeah, man, it's not too bad. What's up, bro? You're getting really close to my face. All right. Okay, I'm going to give him back to you now. He's getting like really close to my face. I don't know if he's like trying to see who I am or.
Yeah, he's all good, man. He's like, man, I was comfortable in the chair, man.
Yeah, messed his day up. Well, no, man. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Man, I appreciate it.
I learned a lot. I'm glad you're doing this stuff. How can everybody find out about you? Look you up if they need to call you for something, whether it be a presentation or to help them out.
Yeah, the easiest way would just be go to our website at snaketuary.com. That's SNAKETUARY.com. We've got all of our social media links are on there. My phone number, personal cell phone's on there. Email address, all that stuff's on there. So that'd be the easiest way to do it. But yeah, we're all over social media too, man.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, bro.
Thanks a lot, man.